Hello everyone. This is an introductory video to getting started with UiPath Studio when you install it for the first time. So I assume that you have your Orchestrator account created, of course, and it could either be a community license or it could be an enterprise trial. Okay, and then you have the prerequisites before you start following this video is your Orchestrator credentials are set up and you have your UiPath Studio downloaded and installed. So after you have installed your UiPath Studio, when you try to launch it, this is the first screen that you will get, okay, wherein it will show you your machine name and then it will ask for the orchestrator URL and then the machine key. Okay, so to get these details, it's not very easy. It is a few steps that you have to follow. So we are going to exactly look at those steps now. Okay, so the first step is to log into the UiPath Orchestrator Automation Cloud, which is what I will do now. So cloud.uipath.com is the orchestrator URL. And when it logs in, it'll take you to the default homepage. But yeah, for now, it is asking me to continue with my orchestrator account, which was set up by my Google ID, the Gmail ID. So I'm just continuing that and it'll now log in. And once you get the home page for the orchestrator, it just takes a while depending on your internet speed and your machine's performance. So there you go. I am on the home screen after I log in, which is here. If you land upon any other screen by any chance, you just have to make sure you click on this home button here to get to the screen. Then you click on the default tenant, which is here. Okay. Now while the tenant loads, let's look at the next step. So number two is done. Now the third step is create a machine on the orchestrator tenant. Okay. So when you are logged into your orchestrator, you click on tenant here at the top left, then click on this machines button here and click on this plus button, which is add. And for now, I'll add a standard machine. Now the machine name has to be an exact match to the name of the workstation the robot is installed on. So what this means is you have to make sure your machine name is correct. So that is the machine name that you have to take from your screen here, the first screen that you would face on the UiPath Studio startup. So Lenovo S540 is my machine name. I'll put it that way. Then I'll just assign some licenses for the runtimes. Nothing much to be discussed here. And then click on provision. There you go. The machine has been created successfully. I've got the name and it has now generated a machine key also. Okay. So that is something which you will be pasting here for the machine key. All right. Just before we actually get started with that, um, there are a few more steps to be done. So let's look at that. So number three is done. We go to number four, which is create a robot in the default folder. So you click on this default folder on the left, then click on robot button here. Okay, just to draw your attention, in this tenant part also where we created the machine, you have robots here as well. But this is not where you are supposed to click. So this is where you can set up and configure your robots. But to create your robot, you have to go to the default folder here and click on robots and then click on the plus button to add. I will simply click on the standard robot. Now it asks for the machine name, which is what it will pick up from the machine that we have created. If there are multiple machines, then it will give you all those list of machines here. For now, this is the only machine that I have. I'll give a name to the robot. Let's say robot 1. The type could be anything. Are we a developer? I'll select a developer pro. Maybe I want to use the testing features of UiPath also. and then the domain name and username. So let me just try to put something here as UiPath / Sora. So this is not the right domain name and username that I'm entering here, but I will come to this step and explain why this has to be very correct. Okay, I'll come to that. So let's go back to the steps. We have just we are just creating the robot now, and I'll click on create button here. So the robot is created, as you can see here. It's disconnected, which is fine. Okay, so step 4 is complete. Step number 5, as I mentioned, ensure to set the right domain and username for the robot, which is something which we have not done right now, and I'll tell you why it is important. Now, number 6 is go to UiPath Assistant and configure the preferences. So to go to UiPath Assistant, click on your Windows button on the laptop, type on the search bar UiPath Assistant, and you will get this guy here. And Mr. Assistant is up and running. So you click on the small preferences icon, select preferences from the menu, click on Orchestrator settings. There you go. You can see your machine name, which is grayed out. Okay. And then you have your Orchestrator URL that it expects. So what will be your Orchestrator URL? I'm just going to the Orchestrator here. So this URL up to where it says default tenant, right? So this part, cloud.uipath.com/soraborg/default tenant. So that is the part that will be your orchestrator URL. Just copy and paste it. And then machine key. Where do you get the machine key? It is here in your tenant on the orchestrator. Go to machines. This was the machine we just created. This button here, copy machine key to clipboard. Just click on it, and the machine key has been copied to the clipboard. Navigate to your assistant, enter the machine key, and click on connect. Now this will connect the machine to the orchestrator. Okay, so it has been connected. Now as you can see, the status, it's orange, it says connected but unlicensed. Now why is this unlicensed? I will draw your attention to step number 5, which is to ensure to set the right domain name and the username for the robot. Okay, so I'll go to my orchestrator, the default folder, robots, and I'll click on, so this was the robot that we had created. I'll click on these 3 dots here on the right and then edit. And then you look at this domain name and username. So if this is not correct, your UiPath assistant will always say it is unlicensed. So this has to be correct. How do we get this? So it is exactly on your machine. So you go to your search bar here at the bottom on your Windows, click on CMD to launch the command prompt, enter and just type in who am I. No spaces, just who am I, and hit the enter key. Now what you get here is Lenovo S50540/Sora. So that is exactly my domain name and username, this bit here. So you can just use that, copy it and paste it on the orchestrator. Done. I'll just click on update. So robot created successfully, message here. And then let's look at this assistant. And now you can see the status is connected and licensed. This signal also has turned to green from orange, right? So this is now absolutely correctly configured. So we'll go to the steps. So number 5 is what we looked at, that has been set correctly. Number 6 is what we have also seen just now, which is configuring the assistant. And now use the correct orchestrator URL and machine key on the UiPath Studio start screen. right? So let's go to the, so this is the orchestrator URL. Okay, let's go to start the UiPath Studio now. UiPath Studio, there you go. And it'll start. Once it is all set up, the studio will start correctly. And if at all you see this screen that I was mentioning here, you just have to enter the orchestrator URL, which is something which you got here on your assistant when you configured it. This is the orchestrator URL, and the machine key is again here in the UiPath assistant. Okay, you put both of the things here and then you click on continue. You will be taken to this screen of the orchestrator, right? So sorry, this screen of the UiPath Studio, right? So I can choose whatever I want to on the UiPath Studio. So watch some videos, tutorials, academy, and so on. I'll just click on close for now. And this is my UiPath Studio experience. To start a new process, you just click on process here, and then you can get started. This is not in scope for this video, so I'm not doing anything. But that's all that you have to do to get started with UiPath Studio. I hope you have enjoyed and found this insightful, and wish you good luck in your UiPath RPA automation journey. Thank you.